Okay, everybody, we have a lot to cover today. We're going to two locations. We're talking about Thomas Pitera, otherwise known as Tommy Karate. Very infamous Banana captain at one point. Started out as a hitman. We'll get into all that. Don't worry about that. We're going to go to his social club that he owned, the Just Us Lounge. And then we're going to go over to his apartment that he did a lot of his killing, dismembering, crazy stuff at. He had a lot of his weapons there. All right, let's flip this around and get into it. Okay, we are not far at all from his social club. Like I said, the Just Us Lounge. This is a pretty cool social club name. It is at 123 Avenue S in Gravesend. We're in Gravesend. We're in Brooklyn, if I didn't mention that. Now, Tommy Karate is one of the more interesting people, one of the more talked about people that was a hitman, that did crazy stuff in the mob, because he just had an interesting life. He was a martial arts expert, became a hitman, became a captain, and the way he was taken down was kind of crazy. All right. So he was bullied and beat up as a kid. A lot of people think he had a high voice too. People said he had like a Mickey Mouse sounding voice, which then I've heard from other people that it really wasn't that high, and it's been exaggerated over the years, which a lot of the stuff is exaggerated. But yeah, he was bullied as a kid. People contribute that to him becoming the crazy person that he ended up being, which a lot of people are bullied and they don't end up killing 60 people, so I can't really attribute all that to being bullied. So in junior high school, he ends up getting interested in karate. And his parents put him in classes. He started getting interested just from pop culture around the time, different TV shows and movies. He also really looked up to the mobsters in his neighborhood because they had respect. They were outside. They had the nice cars. They had the money. This area was very mobbed up back in the day. All right, we're only a couple blocks away here. Not even. So yeah, he ends up entering a karate tournament a couple years after he starts in Sheepshead Bay, not too far from here. And he destroys like 7 opponents, not all at once, one by one. I don't know if you guys know how a tournament works, but yeah, regular tournament system. He goes through 7 opponents. Eventually, he's recognized as someone who's good at this thing, good at martial arts. You see this green sign here with the tan paint over it? That is the lounge. Look at the spot that's saved for us. The fire hydrant saves the best spot. Perfect parallel park. All right, let's get out. Say hi to the truck. This was the Just Us Lounge. I'll add pictures of what it used to look like, of course. I'd like to get in there. I could probably call that guy and pretend I'm buying the place. Maybe in the future. Yeah, it was an insurance place before, I guess it was shut down. Obviously, there was graffiti all over, so they did this half-ass paint job. There's a cool old picture. I'd like to get the angle of kind of where the old picture was taken. See if I could match it up. But either way, this was a place that he would meet a lot of people at. Some people said that he killed people in here. There's no real evidence of that, but it's possible. He was a maniac, so I wouldn't be too surprised. He would meet people like Frank Lino here, who was a banana. Whoa, gotta watch out where I'm walking here. Who was a banana captain, ended up being an informant. Also, Eddie Lino, who I have a whole video on, I'll put in the description. I don't know if I mentioned, I also have another Tommy Karate video that I'll put in the description that I made a while ago. Eddie Lino, who was killed by the mob cops. They were paid $75,000 to do it. Pulled him over on the side of the road, killed him right on the off the Belt Parkway. Big Ange bartended here from Mob Wives. I don't know if you know about that. I'll put her picture up, of course. Passed away, unfortunately. And Frank Ganji, who we will get into a little bit later on. But yeah, this is 123, as you can see. We're on video. I got you on video. And like I always say, mine gets more views. So yeah, this is the famous Just Us Lounge. All right, back to the truck. Let's get a nice shot of the truck. It's still pretty clean, people. It's still pretty clean. Don't look at the dirt. Don't look at the dirt. Now off to his apartment where he dismembered and killed a lot of people. They say by the time he was 40 years old, he killed about 60 people. There's other reports that he had 600 murders, 200 murders. It just seems very unlikely that many people would go missing and it wouldn't come back to him. It's just, like I said, seems very unlikely. So, continuing on with his martial arts career, he ends up winning a scholarship to study in Japan. And he got way deeper into martial arts, grew his hair out. This is kind of like the Bruce Lee era. Tried to, all right, buddy, don't pull up. I'm gonna go. Please don't hit me. This is like the Bruce Lee era, so he had long, dark hair. He grew it out, you know, really took on the role of an extreme martial artist. They said he knew over 100 different martial arts. Again, seems like a little bit of a stretch. Not doubting that the guy was a very good martial artist because he did win tournaments. He did study in Japan for 27 months. He studied with nunchucks, tonfa, I'll put a picture of what those are, and katanas. So, even after his scholarship ended and he wasn't in school, this almost sounds like a joke, but he got a job in a chopstick factory so he could continue his martial arts education there. And now, he was known as a serious tough guy, of course. I mean, with the name Tommy Karate, how are you not? But back in this time, it wasn't like it is today, where kind of anyone, not most people, I'm not going to say that, but a lot of people have a martial arts background. Even me, myself, I have a martial arts background. I've been doing mixed martial arts since I'm 11 years old. So, most of my life, more of my life than not, I've been doing martial arts. So I even know that you don't mess with people on the street because I'm not a person that looks like they could fight. So who are you going to suspect can fight or not? You really don't know. And obviously that's not the only reason why I'm respectful to people. That's just the kind of person I am. But besides the point, the average guy that was a good fighter back in the day, their father or uncle or grandpa taught them how to throw a jab and a cross and maybe a hook, and they were decent on the street. Tommy Karate was a serious martial artist. So he had obviously the upper hand. I mean, there's a picture of him in jail doing a full split on like in like the yard on a table. He's an older guy at that point. You don't just get that out of nowhere. So he comes back when he's 22 years old to New York from Japan, and he still looks up to these gangsters. He still has this itch in him for power. And martial arts, being bullied sets you off to wanting to do martial arts. Him, at least, sets him off to wanting to do martial arts, which gives you a little bit of power in the world. Then you get back and you see all these gangsters that have power. And being in that world myself, it's oddly similar to the Mafia, how it works, how the respect system works. I mean, when we go out to dinner with all the guys I fight with, the top guy, we don't even touch our food until the top guy gets his food and starts eating. And when you're new to the dinners, you're told that, and everyone else is doing it already. And one of the lower ranks comes up to you and tells you, hey, just don't touch your food till he eats. And you all respect it. The guy deserves that kind of respect. So this is like Mafia type stuff that goes on. You give some money for Christmas, stuff like that, just like the mob does. So it's not a hard transition from martial arts to the Mafia. Not trying to say I'm a mobster, but I'm just looking at it from my life experience point of view compared to his. Alright, so it comes back when he's 22. When he's 24, he hooks up with Anthony Bruno Indelicato. Is that how you pronounce it? Who knows? I'm going to call him Bruno. Bruno was a hitman and had his own drug crew. So Tommy Karate ends up selling, moving, dealing drugs, trafficking drugs from Canada to here, all types of stuff for him. He ends up becoming kind of like a debt collector and an enforcer for them because he had this reputation of someone who could fight. So he probably didn't have to do much to get the money out of these people, but he was also kind of a sicko, so I'm sure he gave out a lot of beatings. I know he gave out a lot of beatings and, killed people over this kind of stuff. Like I said, Bruno is also a hitman, so he starts teaching Tommy the tricks of the trade. and he takes a liking to it. Well, just like he studied martial arts, he studied how to be a hitman, how to dispose of bodies, how to dismember bodies, how to not leave a trace, what's the best way to kill somebody. I mean, probably a smart guy, as you can imagine, and he applied the knowledge in almost all the wrong places. So then he ends up getting a girlfriend named Celeste, who people say was the only person that showed him affection, the only person that he showed affection to. And he's hanging out with her a long time. She had a little bit of a drug problem. Not a little bit, it gets kind of serious. She ends up ODing while she's with her friend. Her friend's name is Phyllis. Now Phyllis was kind of dating, messing around with Frank Ganji. Frank Ganji tells Tommy, hey, Phyllis is up in my apartment. They were like partying for like 2 days straight, doing drugs and stuff. Hey, Phyllis is up in my apartment. Tommy Karate goes up in the apartment, kills her, cuts her head off, and of course saves her head in the freezer, like any normal person does. But that's what happened. He OD'd with this girl. Not that it's this girl's, she OD'd. The girl Celeste OD'd with Phyllis. Not that it's Phyllis's fault. They were both doing drugs together. Phyllis could have easily OD'd as easy as Celeste, but that's how his brain worked. Any type of disrespect, if he suspected you of knowing too much about his personal life, he'd kill you. That's how crazy he was. When he ran the drug business for Bruno, because he ended up becoming a captain and kind of having his own drug crew, he sold like 220 pounds of cocaine a year, a bunch of kilos of heroin, and hundreds of pounds of weed. He was a serious moneymaker for them. So how it normally goes, if you're a serious moneymaker, you're able to bend the rules a little bit, push the envelope with the murders you do and the way you act. So just a few like little stories about him. Jim Hunt, a special agent in charge of the DEA, was quoted saying, Tommy was a psychopath, an animal. He'd walk into a social club and everyone would face him. No one wanted their back to Thomas Pitera, which is crazy. You didn't even want your back to this guy. These are other mobsters in a social club. Now, of course, everyone in a social club is not a mobster. There, some days there's a bunch of hang-arounds around there, but you don't even want your back to this guy because he might kill you. How crazy could this guy have really been? There's a story that he actually took a bath with a corpse. He would get fully naked and dismember the corpse in a bathtub, and apparently he sat down and took a bath with the corpse. I think the stories go on and on and on. I'm going to do a whole other video just on the murders that he did. These are just random stories here and there. I mean, it's said that he killed a bunch of people in a cartel, stole all their drugs and sold the drugs. Like, the guy didn't care at all, and it was clear to everyone around him. And to this day, I mean, he's like a legend guy. The guy's still alive. He's in jail, obviously, for life. So, the story of how he got caught. It's kind of ridiculous, thinking of how much crazy stuff that he did, that this is how he gets caught. His buddy, Frank Ganji, who tipped him off that the girl Phyllis was in the apartment for him to kill her, was like tortured by Tommy's murders and the way he was, and it was on his mind too much. Maybe the guy wasn't really set out to be in the mob, you know. Who knows what's on the guy's mind. He gets pulled over for a DWI, ends up in a jail cell, and just totally spills the beans to a detective that he knows apparently, and just talks. This building to the left right here, I'm gonna pull over, we'll get out, of course. There's people outside. Oh, perfect spot to park. It's really not a perfect spot to park, I'll show you in a second. Alright, so if you look up his apartment, they always go to these, you always see pictures of like that second story right there. But I'm going to show you where I said I was in a perfect parking spot. Does that look perfect to you guys? It does to me. Alright, so yeah, that little bit of a darker second balcony up there is where they aim to. I don't know if that was his apartment exactly. You can't really find exactly which apartment was his. I looked it up. If anyone finds out, let me know. Yeah, this is the building. I mean, imagine living in this apartment building and him getting arrested, and then you learn that, like, the apartment over to you, there were a bunch of murders and dismemberments in. I couldn't even imagine how crazy that would be. All right, so like I said, Frank Gangi is spilling all the beans, giving locations to where the bodies were all buried. A lot of the bodies were buried in Davis Wildlife Refuge on Staten Island because it was a wildlife refuge and you can't build over there. So he figured that it would be a really long time before anyone found out. He would even bury the bodies super deep, wrap them in plastic, put them in suitcases so dogs wouldn't find them. And it worked out for him that it was a really marshy area, so the bodies would decompose faster because it was more wet. I mean, I'm not a body decomposition expert, but that's what I read. So like I said, he confesses, and then when Tommy Karate is arrested, they go through his apartment and they find a bunch of weapons, of course. He was a martial artist. Knives, swords, more than 6 automatic weapons. A book called The Hitman's Handbook, and another one called Killed or Be Killed. Killer or Be Killed. I think that's what it's called. It all detailed assassination techniques, torture techniques, dismemberment instructions. I mean, crazy. This is probably the door he used to go in and out. This murderer. Oh, fallout shelter. It's always fun to see one of those. So yeah, June 25th, 1992, he's convicted of murdering 6 people, first-degree murder, and operating a major drug dealing crew. All right, back to the truck. Let's cross the street. We got a nice wide shot of the building before we leave. Frank himself, who was the informant, went into witness protection. He ended up doing 10 years himself because he was involved in a lot of this stuff, you know. Trying not to get by a car. Before I finish this video out, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at mooneydashcam. I post on there daily. All the stuff I see around the city all day long because I'm always in the city, and suggestions for future videos in the comments. I use them a lot. I very much appreciate when you guys put suggestions in. It's what makes me be able to pump out the videos like I do. So, Tommy Karate is still alive, like I said earlier. He is at McCreary U.S. Penitentiary in McCreary County, Kentucky. Still alive, still there. He was happy that he was able to beat the death sentence. When he left the courtroom, he gave the courtroom, the reporters outside a thumbs up that he beat the death sentence. I'm sure he was happy about that. Alright, I guess that's pretty much everything I have to tell you about Tommy Karate. All the other links to the videos that this involves are going to be in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one.